everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Teacher Jenna, and today we will be speaking about how you can write a really good teaching memo. So let's get started. Now, the first thing that I recommend is that you set up a good memo template for yourself. So you'll see in the description down below that I've put links to my own memo templates that I made for the sake of teaching. And when you set up a memo template for yourself, the main aim is to make it as simple as possible and to make it a space where you can very quickly write things down in a way that's comprehensive and that you can go back to at a later stage and say, oh, this actually makes sense, rather than looking and thinking, I don't know what the hell I was talking about. So yes, that's number one. Then, what do you want to include in this memo? Well, the first thing that I tend to look for is class participation. So you will have a variety of different kids. Some will be really enthusiastic and willing to chat and answer questions. However, there are always those kids who are bored or playing with something on the side, or who are really not that interested in being in class, or who don't want to participate at all. So it's always important that you say something about this in the memo so that the parents are also in the loop about this, and they can maybe chat to their kids and help to remedy the situation. I apologize about the little noises in the background. My bunny is currently very awake and he is chewing on my to-do list, which is slightly indicative of my life. Okay, so the next thing that I recommend you write about is student engagement and student effort. So yes, we have class participation where the kids are actively involved, they're actively speaking, maybe chatting to their partner if there's two kids in a class. But then we also have student engagement where even if the kid isn't actively speaking, they may still be focused and listening to what you're saying. So we obviously do have a couple of shy kids who maybe don't want to speak up as much as the louder ones, but if they show you that they are actually listening and that they're engaged, maybe they are answering the question still, even if it's just writing things down, or if they're doing the activities without verbally expressing themselves much, well, they're still pretty engaged in the class. So you should also include this in your memo. And if they do tend to be a little bit shy, what I like to do is to say that X, whatever the name is, let's say Kevin is a very good English speaker. Kevin should be more confident in himself because he speaks very well. And I find that including something like that will build up the kids' confidence, and it'll also make them think, hey, okay, so maybe this is a place where I can speak openly and I can try and answer even if I'm making mistakes. So there's another thing there, which is effort. Now, you'll have kids who just sit there and they really don't try at all. But if you've got a kid who is answering questions, whether they're right or wrong, who is also it's basically making a big effort to show you that they are actively engaged with the work. So maybe even if they're not actively talking to you, they are really trying hard to complete exercises. Whether or not they make mistakes is another situation, but they're still making some form of effort. Now, when we move beyond that and more towards the technical aspects of a memo and of teaching, we look at something like comprehension. So with comprehension, we need to assess the children on this because their parents need to know if the kids require any additional input in order to help them understand a bit better. So if you have a kid who doesn't understand very simple questions that they've learned previously, such as what is this color, and they're not sure what you're saying, they maybe look at you confused, or they just say yes or no, you can tell that they are not really comprehending things well, and it's very likely that the kid needs a little bit more practice in order to get to that level where they are able to fully understand the questions that you are asking. Usually with this sort of thing, I say that the kids should revise previous work, just go over it again to make sure that they are able to be up to scratch with their understanding. And the next thing that I tend to write about is words that the kid is maybe struggling to learn. So there are always a few words. You'll see that children tend to do very well with certain words, like for example red and blue. I find that those are usually the easy color terms. However, there are other terms that the students struggle with quite a lot, such as purple or brown. And if these are words that they are struggling to remember in class, I like to include them in the memo and say something along the lines of, okay, so Kevin is understanding X, Y, and Z very well. However, he is struggling with, the following words, so he should revise them. And this leads to another thing, which is pronunciation. So when it comes to pronunciation, it's important to tell the kids what they are pronouncing wrong, but also to show them how they can pronounce it properly and to give them a few study tips to help them to get to that point where they are able to say things in the correct English way. So with pronunciation, when I'm writing things down in the middle of class, I like to write down the word that they are struggling to understand and underline the letter that they are maybe, or the sound that they are struggling to produce. So for example, kitchen is often a problem. So when I'd write down kitchen, I would underline the I so that when I'm sitting later and writing my full memo, then I'll be able to tell, okay, so the kid struggles with the word kitchen. So what else do they know? What words do they know that have the same sound as in kitchen? And then I'll also give them a few examples. So I'll say, okay, so the sound in kitchen is the same sound as in, for example, pin or kid even. And I find that this helps the kids quite a lot. And I also employ this in my own lessons where I will compare different words so that they are able to see the similarities and differences and have a better sort of understanding of the pronunciation. Along with this, I like to include tips such as breaking words into syllables. So there are some very, very difficult words that the kids will learn, or more sort of advanced words, such as interesting. So I say to the kids, well, break it down into syllables and practice saying it slowly first. If it's a younger child, I'll say like, try breaking it down into syllables and clapping. So interesting. And I find that this really helps them, and it's something that I also reinforce in class. Now, the final thing to chat about is grammar. So a lot of kids struggle with grammar in English, specifically using articles such as a, an, and the. And this tends to be quite problematic. So if they will say, I want a ball, then they will say something like, I want ball rather. So this is obviously something that needs to be corrected both in class and also put in the memo. So when you write this down in the memo, it's good to include a few example sentences rather than just one. Because if you have one example sentence, such as I have ball, then the child may think that this only applies to that sentence. So then you would also want to say, for example, I have a piece of cake, so that they know that they need to say that rather than I have a piece cake. And that is the end of our video. If you found this helpful, I ask that you please click the like button below. And if you want some more TEFL tips and tricks, then also smash that subscribe button. Okay, so a reminder that if you're looking for lesson plan templates and memo templates, those are linked in the description below. Bye guys! Bye! See you!